Late last year, I caught up with Maree Balmain and she courageously shared her cancer journey with me. This week, I catch up with Maree again for her 2020 update. The Balmains have had a huge year with a move to the Northern Territory while wrestling their two beautiful kids, and I'm going to let Maree tell you the rest. As always, Maree is beautiful, insightful, and her cheeky sense of humour is never far. Hello, Maree, and thank you so much for catching up with me today.
Hi, Cal. It's great to see you.
Yeah, your hair's growing back.
Oh, isn't it crazy? I look like Sideshow Bob, I think, at the moment, but it's not going there.
Oh, but your hair was never curly, was it? Or was it?
No, not at all. It was dead straight. They refer to it as a chemo perm, so a lot of people's hair comes back really curly, or sometimes mostly curly, I think.
Yeah, no, years ago I knew a lady that had been through chemo and lost her hair, and she had dead straight hair, and then when it all grew back it was curly. But I think over the years it's come straight again. But
yeah,
you're so lucky because you can have curly hair now. You can straighten it if you want with the straightener. You have a lot of options available.
Just wear a hat, I say.
So Maree, since we last spoke, there's been a lot going on in your life, but you've moved from Julia Creek up into the Territory. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so we got an opportunity within the company to transfer to Avondance. It's a really beautiful place. It's 2 million acres. It's on the Rankin River. It's basically the Barkly region. Some really beautiful country here. So we've got the Georgina, the Rankin and the James running through it. Really beautiful spot. So we took that opportunity and moved basically straight after I did radiation. So, yeah, we've had a bit on with everything, but we're really loving it. We've been there about 5.5 months.
Yeah. So how does it compare to the place you're on at Julia Creek, like cattle-wise and size-wise and country?
Well, it's a lot different country. It's a bit more of a powerhouse. We're running a lot more cattle, obviously. We run at about 16,000 to 18,000 AEs, adult equivalents.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it's just obviously different. We're on the bull breeding unit at Carrum, so we're breeding all of the bulls, composite bulls for the company. So now we're on a breeder block. So mostly the Wagyu or all Wagyu bulls over composite cow, or so we've got Wagyu cows as well. We're going to run about 4,000 pure bloods. So, yeah, it's a lot different. We're getting used to the wags, but it's all happening. We've got a really good team around us, so about 16 staff. So it's definitely different, but we're really enjoying it.
Yeah. So staff-wise, Maree, you'd have a lot more staff because I think you only had 3,500 head that you ran at Carrum. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had 3 girls working for us there. So that's, obviously got a lot more people now, which is... It has its own set of challenges just with communication and making sure that everything is pretty clear. But, I mean, it's good too in that it steps you out of your comfort zone. And we were probably, I wouldn't say we were resting on our laurels at Carrum by any means, but I think after being there sort of 2.5, nearly 3 years, you sort of get to know the place, and so this is just a whole new challenge. So, yeah, it's good. Keeps us busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're never not busy, Maree.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So what is your nearest town?
Still Mount Isa.
Wow.
Actually, I think it's about 20k closer, even though I've moved into a different state. So it's about a 280-kilometre trip one way to get to treatment. I think it was about 290, nearly 300 from Julia Creek. So I've got to keep Mount Isa, the team there, all my oncologists and everything, which is good because my treatment is still ongoing. So it was not a big change. Like that was basically the only thing for me. If we were going to move, I had to keep the team I had. There was just not negotiable for me. It wouldn't have mattered if we'd got offered something 5 times bigger. We wouldn't have been able to do it. I wasn't prepared to leave my team. We've been able to keep everyone, which is great.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about your treatment, but first of all, I want to know what it was like moving with your treatment, your babies, and everything that was going on in your life. So, and Maree, I do always think it's good to move every now and again because, you have a big clean out, and I haven't moved for 22 years. So I probably need a clean out, but I'm not planning on moving anyway. But, yes, I bet you had a nice big cleanse with your gear.
It definitely makes you prioritise what you want to keep in your life. So that's interesting. That can be a bit of a negotiation sometimes about what you take and what you leave. It was probably less of a Beverly Hillbillies show this time because we sort of had a few more people helping us, whereas the first time around it was such a long haul from Tamworth and we just had a friend, Dick Perham, helping us. So it was really intense, even though we didn't have the kids. We had like 14 dogs and sausage dogs and, the whole 9 yards. So this time it wasn't too bad, and I just obviously worked it in with treatment, and they're really good. They kind of know that I've got a bit on, so they're really flexible with me now. Like I can ring them and say, can I move to it? I'm always on a Wednesday, but if I've got something else on, sometimes they'll let me change to a Friday or a Monday or, wherever within reason. So it wasn't too bad. And, so we just got it done, a bit like everyone. Just get it done.
Yeah. So, Maree, getting back to your treatment, so once a week, every Wednesday, you drive a 6-hour round trip to Mount Isa.
Yeah.
And everyone could be mistaken that you are sitting in the doctor's office today, but where are you? Where are you? Because you have a lovely lady who loans you her office.
Yeah, well, it's a funny story. This isn't my lovely lady's office. Hers is much nicer than this. This is just a random room in the hot JCU campus. I look like a doctor, certainly am not a doctor. And so it's full of, it's funny. I'd love to pan them. It's got lots going on in here, but anyway, that's okay. I've got service and I've got everything's working. So very grateful, but I wasn't able to use the nice office with the paintings and everything, much like your own. Everything looks really nice in the background. This one's not so great, but that's okay.
Well, it's interesting anyway, Maree. It's interesting to me, yeah. So tell me about what treatment you're having and how much longer you've got to go.
So targeted therapy now, which is, it's like a form of chemotherapy, but obviously your hair grows back and it's a bit gentler on you. It was meant to be sort of every 21 days, but my heart has been affected by it, so we've just moved it to weekly, which was a bit of a blow because I was kind of looking forward to just doing every 3 weeks, but it just is what it is. I'd rather keep doing treatment and give myself the best possible chance than abandon treatment. So that's what we're doing. So I should be all going well, finished. I just passed another heart test. So I get them every 5 weeks. So just passed one. So hopefully that'll be my last heart test and I can get my treatment finished now in December. And then I'm done, which is great.
Oh. So, Maree, did that extend the time that you were having the treatment, or you would still have finished then, but they give you a higher dose every 3 weeks and what you're getting?
Yeah, why I'm still going is because I've had a few stints in hospital and we've had to abandon treatment a few times because of my heart. So that really has dragged it out. And the irony is of a couple of girls, well, one lady in particular was diagnosed after me and she finished her treatment like 2 months ago, and I was like, see you later. I'm so jealous of her because she didn't have any delays. But that's just the unique nature of getting treatment. Everyone reacts differently. She didn't have any time in hospital, which was great for her. I have, and had a few other things going on. So that's what's dragged it out. And, yeah, so they give me a smaller dose every week to build up to a one big dose. So the theory being that it won't affect my heart as much. And so far so good. So it's sort of bouncing around a little bit, but not enough for them to stop treatment, which is great because I want to get as much into me as I can. I only want to do this once, do it properly, do it right the first time, be done with it. That's the theory anyway.
Yeah. And Maree, with your heart, do you think, like, are they saying it'll come back to normal once you finish the treatment, or will you have to be on medication now?
No, I won't. I'll have, it'll be fine. Once I finish the sort of, again, the theory is that it'll go back to normal. So I'm not really sure of how long it will take. And to be honest with you, it hasn't really affected me physically apart from probably the fatigue. So I've still been able to do what I've done. I'll probably look back in 6 months' time and think, I feel so much better than what I did now. But I feel so much better than what I did when I was doing the full-time chemo as well. So, it's just you just get what you're given, I guess. So it's just a little thing that's happening, but it'll, in the scheme of things, it's just what it is.
Yeah. And Maree, last time we spoke, you were waiting to go back to Townsville to have an operation. So how did that go?
Yeah, really well. So a double mastectomy. Obviously the right side that was affected, and then it's called a prophylactic mastectomy on the left side. So I opted to, I got that done. And then... So
can I just ask what that means?
As in the prophylactic mastectomy?
Yes, I can't even say it.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. So I'm so used to using these terms now, it just sort of rolls off my tongue.
You could be a doctor.
No, I don't think so. Doctor about procrastinating, maybe. No, so prophylactic, it's basically that it wasn't affected with the disease, but I've opted to get it off anyway, get it removed just because of the high risk. And I think my surgeon was happy with that decision too. So that's what we did. Do it once, do it properly. Yeah. So got that done, and then I waited for the results. So that was the big thing, I think, when we last spoke about how I was going to go with them testing all the tissue and where they'd taken the nodes out as well, the lymph nodes. So luckily for me, I got PCR, which is what we spoke about the first time. So that was a really, really big boost for us. A bit emotional, bit of a boost, because I was able to say that I was cancer-free. Yeah.
So the treatment that you're having now, Maree, which you're nearly finished, has that just been like a safety net?
Yeah, I guess it's gold standard. So it's an international protocol for women that had HER2 to get the 12 months of Herceptin, which is the targeted therapy. I'm just basically doing what they know at this stage to be give us the best outcome to limit the recurrence. Recurrence sits at about 30%. So I guess the other way to look at it is 70% of women stay and can remain cancer-free. So, I take a bit of solace in that, I guess, that the odds are still in my favour to beat this. So it's just a time thing. Once we finish treatment, it's just a time to wait. Then I've got to get to 5 years without any issues, and I can say I'm cured. So that's the next big thing on the list to tick off.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, Maree, you're ahead of so many people because, you know, you're young, you're fit, you live a really healthy, good lifestyle. Do you think that must all weigh in to recovery?
Certainly, pardon me, there are things that you can do to help, like exercising for 20 minutes a day, sort of high intensity cardio, and you know, not smoking, and maintaining a healthy BMI. But I think it's important to remember that, you know, I'm very mindful of the fact that we don't really get a choice at the end of the day. There's all the things that you can do with your mindset and all of the lifestyle changes and healthy choices, but there's plenty of women that do all of those things and still have a relapse. And I struggle with that a little bit because I think that feeling that they've done something wrong would be there, and there's just not. It's just not the case. Like I said, you can do your best and obviously move forward and hope that you're right. But, you know, it's even with the PCR, I think you don't really get a choice how your body responds to the treatment. And I've got friends that unfortunately haven't received PCR and they're no different to me. They haven't done anything wrong. You know, I'm just lucky that I got PCR and they're still got some other things that they need to do to help them along the way. So I think it's really important to, whilst you do put the things in place, to acknowledge that it just can be so unfair the way that it affects some people and how it can come back. But I don't dwell on that, but I certainly have got that in my mind, certainly, and particularly for the girlfriends that haven't got the best outcome and haven't gone through the chemo as well. So that, I think, for me is something I always keep in mind.
Yeah. Maree, last time we were talking, you mentioned about cognitive therapy. So has that, like, what is it for people who don't know, and how has that helped you with the acceptance of what you've been through and your recovery?
Oh, it's been invaluable. You know, I haven't been able to do as well without it. So cognitive therapy is just a sort of a psychological theory and teaching of being in the moment and being able to accept that painful thoughts and feelings won't last, just like happy feelings won't last. And I guess it's been able to just really get a bit more mindful about how you can help yourself cope. I've been really grateful for it because you can really get caught in the wormhole of the fear of recurrence, or, you know, before I got PCR, the fear that it wasn't going to work. So that's all really normal feelings. So I've been really grateful. It's been a huge tool for me, and the psychologist that I talk to is actually a stage 4 cancer survivor, as in he's still in active treatment. So he's got a pretty good perspective on how things can be and not be so great. So I found that he's been really great in helping me put it into perspective.
Yeah, and you had some experience with cognitive therapy before all this anyway, hadn't you? So you kind of lived your life along those lines anyhow.
Well, I'd needed a lot of help sort of 8 years previously when my first husband passed away. So I really got on board with everything then because I knew that I needed a lot of help with that. So I've just found it invaluable, and I kind of probably shelved it in the last sort of 5 years as far as, like, you know, wasn't really neat. Like, life was just going along pretty good. So I'm really glad that I had those tools when this came along, and I knew immediately the person I needed to track down to help me as well. So reconnecting with Gary, which was interesting because he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer himself when I first was seeing him. So he's been 8 years down this track of a lot of treatment. So that's been really good to have that person that just gets it. One, and then two is trained to be able to say, well, we get it, and now we need to be in the moment and move forward. So I've found him really invaluable in my recovery, and what will be, but whilst I'm being it, it's going to be the best version of me, if that makes sense. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I get from every time I speak to him. I'm here now, and we're in the moment, and we're going to enjoy and cherish the connections we make with the people around us, rather than looking at a faraway goal of 5 years before I feel better. Like, you know, we've got the ability and the tools to make ourselves and give ourselves an opportunity to enjoy life and feel better now. So I think that's probably a great lesson I've learned.
Maree, what a great thing that is going to be for your kids, because no doubt you're instilling into them those beliefs, and they won't have a problem, you know, coping with their struggles in life, because they'll have all this knowledge that they'll think probably that they were born with it, because, you know, they've been around you for so long.
Well, it's funny you say that. That was probably the biggest thing, often the thing I touched with Gary on the most is, you know, what am I teaching my kids? And he says that, you know, that it's the resilience, and the message is dealing with life, and as well as you can, is so powerful. It's great to teach your kids about the good stuff and how to be good winners, but it's also a beautiful lesson in facing adversity and working your way through that. And I mean, obviously they're very young, and, you know, it's going to be one of those things, hopefully, that they're not even really going to have a massive memory of this in this moment. But, yeah, being able to instill on them that life isn't always the guarantee, or life isn't always perfect, but we can still thrive. I think that is a lesson that you can teach, and it doesn't mean I think it's a lesson that you don't necessarily have to be in the position yourself, but I think it's just making the people that you care about aware of that, and obviously your children aware that picking yourself up and dusting yourself off and not always getting the best news doesn't mean that we can't still enjoy life.
Yeah. And Maree, you know, as you go along and your kids get older, the thing I struggle with the most with the kids is seeing them upset or seeing them go through something that makes them sad. And but you know, what can you do? It's their lessons, and it gives them resilience, and you can't shield them from those times when they are going to be hurt or unhappy, or and all you can do is do what you're doing, show them that it's okay to feel bad sometimes, and that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And
I think showing them,
and like you said, you're right.
No, you go, Cal.
Oh yeah, just showing them, like you said, those feelings of happiness don't last, but feelings of sadness don't last either. So yeah, it's what a great mother your children have.
I don't know. I'm sure Elsie's going to roll her eyes if she ever watches this video and go, "Mum, you're so dramatic." I've got no doubt. Sorry, Elsie, 20-year-old Elsie.
I need to mention Elsie's manicuring skills, because she's right into nail polish at the moment, and no one is safe, male or female.
Oh gosh, we went to a campground and Elsie sucked everyone in. Anyone that came to our camp got a pedicure and a manicure, and it was so funny. So we have to cross the border every time we go home, and we're in Cloncurry. So Pete, I don't know whether I've told you this story. Pete handed his border. He was in the truck. He handed his border pass to this big burly copper. I was behind in the caravan, like a couple of hours behind him. And that he's got this pink nail polish. And so not typical men, not a word was said. Like, so I found out about this later because Pete's handed him the paperwork, the coppers looked at him, Pete's looked at him, he's just handed it back, off you go, nothing to see here. And then I've come through the border crossing 3 hours later and handed him my paperwork, and I've got this awful bright pink nail polish, most of it's on my fingers, not my actual nails. And the copper said, oh, so I reckon I saw a fellow with the same pink nail polish a couple of hours previously. Is he your husband? And I said, yes, he is. And he said, do you have a little daughter? And I said, yes, she's in the back. And he said, I told you young fellas that fella would just have a little girl. They weren't really sure. But he didn't clarify with Pete. So lucky I came through and set the record straight. That that's funny. Doing it, and he wasn't just, doing something else on the weekend that, what shouldn't probably talk about. I'm not sure. But anyway, they got a real good laugh at the border anyway at Pete's expense.
Priscilla Pete, Queen of the Territory.
That's right. That's right. There's a few victims from that weekend.
Oh, gosh. I feel actually sorry for little boys that have big sisters, because I'll bet you Elsie will be like our kids, and Hutton was always they were making him get dressed up, and he'd have to have pink dresses and a blonde wig and all the makeup, and they did such a good job one day, and they'd taken these photos, and Barry came home and Amy was showing him the photos, and he said, who's that little girl? He thought that we'd have had some friends over for the day, but it was
funny. Again, Hutton's going to be looking at this going, thanks, Mum. Harry is a victim of being pushed into most things by his sister, whether it's willingly or not. So I've got no doubt he will suffer the same fate.
Hutton will say it's easier to give in to them.
Yeah, that's Harry, exactly right. Yes, he sounds like Harry.
Yeah. So, Maree, are you planning on staying out there where you are for a long time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We had not. It's funny. I didn't realise it until we had the conversation, but it was only just in the last couple of weeks Pete and I spoke about the future again. So we hadn't had any conversations in the last 18 months about what the heck are we doing, and we kind of put that off. So it was really nice to have a discussion about, all right, what's our new 5-year plan? So our new 5-year plan obviously has now staying cancer-free added on the list, and we're just going to really try and enjoy our experience up here and learn as much as we can on these big scale places, and hopefully, moving forward, what that looks like with our own personal and private ventures, maybe back down south. But certainly we want to be up here for at least the next sort of 5 years, or until Elsie starts school, just to do it properly and really get a handle on this big scale stuff. So it was nice to be able to put that conversation, the wheels on that conversation, and have that, because I guess we kind of weren't really game enough to talk about the future. Just because I think I felt a lot of pressure around it, not being able to guarantee that I was going to be there. So that's got a lot of power to be able to start talking about the future.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. That must be surreal, feel surreal when you're going through it, Maree. Because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the Mcgrath Foundation do so much good, I just want to rehash your experience with your beautiful breast care nurse in Mount Isa.
So, yeah, she's an absolute angel. She's a really special lady. She's been an absolute shining light for me. She just says, I have no doubt. And that's all she says when we talk about whether or not I'm going to achieve milestones. And she's really proactive in the community, raising awareness, raising funds. Yeah, she's just an absolute legend. So and she's become a friend as well, which I think is more than just a professional relationship. So I really, have a lot of time and respect for what she does.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually catching up with Tracy Bevan this month, which I'm really looking forward to as well. And, I've been reading up. I mean, we all know about the Mcgrath Foundation, but, it costs millions and millions of dollars to keep those nurses going year in, year out. And their main goal is to keep, making sure that there's nurses everywhere that's needed. And, there's still some places in Australia that don't have that those women don't have access to those nurses. So I understand more now the importance of giving to the Mcgrath Foundation. I think to get that just that personal help and someone that can be a sounding board for you and explain things in a basic way for most people. Yeah. I think it's and your experience, I know, has been so good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Nicole was saying to me how big her region is. She goes, I think she's the furthest based northwest until you go maybe even into WA. I'm not sure if there's even anyone in the Northern Territory. So she covers a huge area, and that's just a funding thing. Obviously, if they had more money, they'd be able to potentially put, I'm nearly sure there's no one in Darwin, but that I'd have to just check that back. So, that is something that, if you're getting treatment out of a hospital remotely, such as Darwin, there should be someone there to help you. It does require a lot of money to keep people in a position and trained and up to date with the latest information, because as we spoke about before, cancer research is such a fast-moving landscape that unless you're in it and living it and breathing it, you get left behind with the treatments and things that are available to people. It's just a never-moving landscape. So I think to have someone there that understands that and is comfortable with that takes a lot of pressure off the average patient. So I think that's really important to have that person there to be able to explain it.
Yeah, that is fantastic that it's such a fast-moving landscape, isn't it? Because, every day is a day closer to making lives longer.
Oh, 100%. I was only reading, there's a girl in WA that's just done a PhD on bee sting venom for triple negative and HER2 positive cancers, so like the cancer I had. So there's, bright young women that are dedicating their PhD years to trying to find a cure for these more rare and aggressive cancers, and it's happening in Australia. So that's a really comforting thing to read. And, I mean, that's a long way from a clinical trial, and they do say cancer is really easy to kill in a petri dish, but if we don't keep trying, we're not going to find the cure. And if we can cure stage 4 cancer, we can cure all cancers. So that's a really big thing to keep in mind when you consider about where to give money and to support charities and foundations. I mean, there's some people out there that are dedicating their lives to curing cancer. That's a pretty noble cause, I reckon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maree, you'll be so... When do you finish? December?
December, all going well. God, if I have another sort of break, I think I'll pull my own hair out. Hopefully December.
Oh, gosh, don't do that.
I know.
But in a way, you'll miss the people that have been around you and helping you, won't you? Because they've been such an integral part of your life and such a personal part of your life. I imagine that will be the saddest thing about walking away and being, okay.
Absolutely. There's a lot of research, and people talk a lot about once they finish active treatment, how it can actually be really hard for several reasons. You probably feel like you're stepping out from underneath that safety blanket a little bit, and also the people and the friends that you make along the way. You're not seeing them, and I'm seeing them every week. I'm a regular. So that's where I think it's important to get like your mental health right, get your exercise regimes going, get all of those tools. And I've started obviously all those things so that when the cord's cut, I don't feel like I'm not doing anything and that I'm not a little bit lost, because definitely they are such a huge part. I've spent more time around my cancer care team in the last 18 months than I've spent around any family, basically, apart from my really close family, and particularly now COVID is on and we haven't had any events. I've spent more time around those girls than what I had my own friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Maree, I know, gosh, you will keep in touch with them though.
Oh, 100%. I've got to repay all this darn money that I've used getting all my treatment. I've got a long list of people that I need to start raising money for. I tell you, it's just been very humbling. Even little random ones like the CWA, just the generosity and receiving charity it's a skill. I think it's easy to give. It's really hard to receive. So I found that I've got a lot of people that I owe, and then I'm going to put a fair bit of time into helping raise some more money to help people in need.
Yeah. Oh. And Maree, that just reminded me that you've become a sought-after public speaker. You're on the public speaking circuit up there, so that's so good that you get the opportunity to share your message and publicly thank those people, I guess, that have helped you.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know whether I ever thought I was going to have a career in being the poster girl for breast cancer awareness, but it seems to have happened. And I, not reluctantly, but I think if we don't have the conversations, and everyone's different, there's some people that are really private about their treatment and journeys they have, and that's absolutely fine too. Everyone's different. I think I felt like it's been an important part of my recovery to talk about it, and also an important part of raising awareness and just keeping it on people's minds. Like, yes, we have Pink Day at the cricket, and it is a well-funded compared to a lot of other cancers, but it's still affecting a lot of women every year. So it's important to keep that in people's minds, and it's important to keep people checking their breasts. I was stopped at the border just a month ago by two female police officers. One was 52, and the other lady was 47, and the 52-year-old lady had one mammogram. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? You need to get onto this. This is the cancer that affects women in your age bracket. I don't want to scare people, but I think it kind of frightens me that people don't know about it either. So I drove away from the border feeling very satisfied with myself that I'd given them a good talking to about, they both thought that you just started getting mammograms at 50, and I'm like, that's not the case. It's 40 in Australia. It's why we we spend all this money on health. So we can provide these services earlier for good reasons. So it astounded me that these two ladies were really oblivious to their breast health. So that was pretty interesting. I was obviously meant to be stopped by them on that day.
Yeah, that's good.
Definitely.
They're so, you are so powerful because there is so much power for others in hearing your story, Maree. So thank you for being so open and generous and sharing all your ups and downs and, the funny parts and the sad parts. So thank you, Maree. And we'll have to catch up again very soon.
Oh, absolutely, Kel. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, nice to catch up and nice to see that beautiful curly head back.
Yeah, it's still there.
And don't tear it out, whatever you do.
I promise.
Thanks, Maree. Take care. Travel safely home.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please try to remember to just click on the subscribe button so we can keep you updated with everything that's happening. Thank you.